Well, good Monday morning to you all. Hopefully, you've all had a nice, restful weekend and you're ready for a new work week. So often, there are problems with Mondays is because we don't maintain our habits on the weekend, and so we get ourselves actually tired in a different way on the weekend, and we come back to Monday and we haven't rested, and we don't have we're not in our proper place. It's the same thing that we do spiritually, where we have our highs and lows, we have our ups and downs. We find it very difficult to maintain a discipline where there's consistency in relationship building. So we'll have these terrible times of desert experience, and then we have these euphoria experiences, and it's not really supposed to be that way. We're supposed to have times of breakthrough without a doubt and new revelation, but there's supposed to be consistency in our walk. Speaking of consistency, reading the last three chapters of Daniel today, 10, 11, 12, and Daniel was a very consistent man, very consistent in his love of the Lord, very consistent in his ministry, very consistent with the people around him. Basically, they knew exactly what he would do, and that's how they were able to entrap him there for a while. But we don't worry about those things because God is our rescuer. And so we find in these last three chapters, he has this big vision of, it's really um, there's a lot of end time prophecy that is here. And we see the reason why it's given to him is because he had decided to look into this matter. He was diligent in his studies, he was seeking knowledge of these things, and he was walking humbly before the Lord. There's no arrogance in Daniel whatsoever. He knew that everything that he had and everything that he was because of the Lord, and because of it, he was he was given to see the angels and have this vision and revelation on these great incredible things that Daniel says almost destroyed him. It was too much for him, and again, that's a reminder of us, if we really want to walk in everything that the Lord has given to us, called us to, then it takes diligence, it takes consistency, it takes relationship, it takes a seeking, it takes a humility. I can't figure these out on my own, but the Holy Spirit will teach me these things, because that He's the teacher, and that's what He's promised. But if I don't look into it, how will I learn? If I don't walk humbly before the Lord, if I'm filled with arrogance and figure that I know all these things myself, if I don't acknowledge that there is something lacking in me, that I don't have this knowledge, then how would I ever gain it? It comes with a confession of I don't know what I ought to know, and I am not what I ought to be, and it's walking in this humility that we're able to have these breakthroughs and come into these moments with the Lord. And when we're faithful with the little, then we're given more. But don't miss out on the prophecy itself. And you're talking about the end when it talks about those who are asleep in the dust will be woken up to enter into eternity, into an eternal reward, or into shame and eternal. It's an eternal shame that they'll be coming into, and then it's. And then there's the warning that's given that knowledge will increase, um, but more and more will stray away from the Lord. So knowledge will increase. There is a promise of the increase of knowledge, and there's no doubt about that. The revelation that we've received through Jesus Christ and through the Holy Spirit, and the ongoing revelation and the depth of the Word and everything that we're seeing happening now, wow, it's increasing. But we also see more and more people straying from the Lord. You just have to read the headlines recently. Some very prominent Christians who have just walked away, and we're all left scratching our heads, and we're told that this would happen. It comes from a lack of diligence. It comes from a lack of consistency. It comes from a lack of actually knowing the Lord, a fellowship with the Lord. You and I both know that if we're in that place of fellowship with the Lord, there's no way that we could walk away from Him. How can we walk away from the one who is life? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And you know, there's something broken in the relationship in that way. And we can't be desperate. I love what Graham Cook says. I don't want to be desperate for the Lord, because to be desperate speaks of a broken relationship, because we have the constant abiding presence of the Lord. So how can we be desperate for Him when we're constantly in Him and He's in us? It's only in that brokenness of relationship that we lose the reality of that, and we become desperate. So again, this is all about pressing in. This is about falling in love. This is all about not getting distracted. This is about knowing that He wants to give us even more understanding of Him, of who He is. So I just want to encourage you today, my friends, my family, press into Him. Don't ignore Him. Take the time in prayer. Take the time in the Word. Take the time in worship. Just take the time and walk with Him all day. Talk with Him all day. Practice His presence. So what you have to do, you have to practice His presence. His presence is your reality. So you guys have a fantastic day. Be engaged with people. Love them. You can say no to yourself in order to love them. You can say no to your emotions in order to love them. Man, now that I'm aware of that, you wouldn't believe some of the pressing in, some of the fighting that I have to do, because now that I have that, now that I'm aware of that, I can't allow myself the indulgence of these negative emotions, and it's become a battle. It has. So you guys be blessed today, be encouraged. Love you all.